Greetings, Glitter Gang, and happy Thursday. This is the second part of the show on Thursday, June 2nd. We have just finished off the first page and first set of inserts for this album. We're now moving on to the second page, and I think what I'm going to do here is probably a waterfall. Let's do a waterfall. Let's do a waterfall. All right, so I have an idea for a waterfall that I want to do, which is to file folder tab the waterfall. So that what I'm going to do, rather than try to calculate what size each piece needs to be in the file folder waterfall, I'm just gonna do it and then we'll work backwards. Okay. All right. So I'm going to start with a piece of paper that is 6.5 inches by 12 inches. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my tabs 2.5 inches. So I'm going to tab at 2.5 and on the edge. Okay, 2.5 and on the edge. All right, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off this bit here. Let me just move this. Yeah, so Judy is saying of the book, just generally speaking, that there may have been too many characters and storylines. There were some interludes, like, you know, her relationship with Paul, that didn't go anywhere. I didn't need it, but, you know, it is what it is. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put this on my, like, you know, we didn't need to spend maybe as much time on Paul as we did. And I'm going to put the edge where I've cut the tab off. And actually, I'm going to put it right here. Because I want this tab to be on the left or in the first position. So I need it at the top. I'm going to put that right at the center line. And I'm going to come over 4.25, rather, sorry, 4.5. And I'm going to make a score line. So 4.5 is 10.5. They're the same. And I'm going to score there. Okay. And then I'm going to just make a mark. I'm just going to cut it. Let's say I'm going to cut it 1/2 inch over from that. 1/2 inch over from that. So I'll put my score line at the 1/2 inch mark and then I'll cut it. So I put that score line I just made at the 1/2 inch mark and now I'm going to cut. All right, and then what I can do is I can measure this whole thing and give you a measurement. So this whole piece is 10 and, or it's 5/8 this direction. That includes the tab 5/8. 5 and 3/8. It's not 5/8. It's 5 inches and 3/8 of an inch. So 5 and 3/8 inches. All right. By, or rather, it's 5 and 3/8 vertically by, and then the width is 6.5. All right. So 5 and 3/8 by 6.5, tab is 2.5. Okay. So now I can just cut my pieces to 5 and 3/8 by 6.5, and then they'll be the correct size. So. All right, so I have a piece that's 5 3/8 by 6 1/2. Now I just need to calculate, if it's 6 1/2 and I want my tab to be 2 1/2 and I want it to be in the middle, 6 1/2 minus 2 1/2 is 4. Divide that by 2, it's 2 inches. So I'm going to punch at 2 inches and 2 inches. Okay, so I'm going to punch, I'm going to put one edge at 2 inches and punch. I'm going to flip it over, put the other edge at 2 inches and punch. Okay. And then we're going to cut the tabs off. So I'm going to put it so that the dip of the punch is in line with the wire and cut up to it. And then I'm going to flip it over and repeat. Okay, so now it looks like that. And so they're going to lay on top of each other like that. Well, except they're going to be spaced like a half, well, whatever. All right, so now I'm going to, I need to score it at 1/2 inch. So from the other edge, so I'm just going to stick it in my, I'm just going to be lazy. See, I'm at 4 1/2 inches. Okay. All right, so they're going to get stuck down like, this is how they're going to look. Okay. Okay. All right, so we need to make one more. So what I'm going to do is cut a 6 1/2 inch strip and then cut 2 5 3/8 inch pieces out of it. And then the piece that I have left will be 5 1/2. So I can then cut that to 6 1/2 by 5 3/8. And yeah, I can get 3 pieces out of one. And in fact, I could probably do a pinwheel, a 6 1/2 inch by 5 1/2 inch pinwheel. All right, so this one is the same as the other. Punch at 2 1/2 and at 0. Yeah, so Judy's talking about going back to reading, taking a break from audiobooks and going back to reading like ebooks with her eyes or something like that, you know, or physical books from the library with pages with her eyes. And I think that for me, the way that my brain is with books is there's books that just entertain me. You know, there's books that are not going to be like, and then this one's going to be a middle piece. So I'm going to do 2 inches and 2 inches. And this is the same with movies or music or any other piece of media. There's pieces that entertain you in the moment, right? And then there's pieces that stick with you for months. There's pieces that stick with you for years. There's pieces that stick with you for your whole life. And I don't expect every book, movie, whatever, to be, I'm putting this at 5 1/2 and I'm going to cut up to 5 1/2. And I'm going to do a 5 1/2 inch pinwheel, and I think that's going to give me multiple pieces like this. Although now I'm wondering if I should have made this out of the dark brown, but whatever. I already made it out of this color, so I'm just going to stick with it. Okay, so we can make a 5 1/2 inch pinwheel so you can get 4 of these things out of here. So this is a book that's like enjoyed in the moment, but it didn't change my life. You know, it didn't radically change the way I thought about something. You know, like if I went into the book thinking one thing and then, you know, it didn't turn me into someone who's dying to know more about beer, for example. It didn't radically open my eyes to what life in the Midwest is like. Like, it didn't really do anything where this book changed me in some way, I guess I would say. And I've read books that I felt really changed me, books that I still think about all the time. You know, there are books like that, but to expect every book to be like that is super unfair, I think. Or every movie or whatever, you know. And there's nothing wrong with instantly forgetting a book, I don't think. You know, because that book maybe was just meant to entertain you in the moment. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Do you agree or disagree? You can let me know in the comments. So, but yeah, like I remember seeing someone say, well, how well are you retaining the information? And I'm like, well, why do I need to? Maybe ask yourself why you think I need to. You know, like why I need to retain everything I read. I don't need to retain. Do you retain everything you watch about every TV show you watch? No, of course not. Of course not. Now, if you, so yeah, I guess I would say if you forget a book that you read a few months ago, I would not beat yourself up about it. I would not beat yourself up about it. All right, so we're going to end up with 3 sets of these things. Okay, so I've got left, middle, right, and then here I have left, middle, and now I need to do right. So Candy says, I think I read mostly to be entertained in the moment. So I will say I usually have 1 or 2 books going at any given time. Typically, if I have 2 books going, it's because one of them is a book I'm thinking about, a book that I am working with or working through, I should say. And just what I mean by that is it's a book where, you know, reading it is maybe I'm being educated, or emotionally it's very taxing because I'm feeling a lot of emotions or whatever. And if I'm reading a book like that, I typically will have a second book that's just fluff, you know, and fluff can mean it's a thriller that a thriller that I'm only going to read once, a mystery, whatever, you know, everyone's fluff is different. And then sometimes I'm only reading a fluff book, you know, but I don't read only serious books, I guess. I don't even think the majority of books I read are serious. Now, I enjoy learning and all that stuff, and that's, you know, fine. If you don't, then that's also fine. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think there's a right or wrong way to read, I guess is what I'll say. Just in summary, that I don't think there's a right way to read or a wrong way to read, or right books to read or wrong books to read, generally speaking. Yeah, in conclusion, thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk about books. But yeah, I probably could have done without Paul. Or Paul could have been drastically reduced, and I don't think I would have minded, you know. I mean, I think Paul was there to show her that she could have a different life that she hadn't even conceived of, like that, you know, she could be smart, successful, Well, she was smart, but she could like work academically, like that she wasn't, you know, there were options or whatever. But, you know, and I guess her original motivation for trying so hard to make that beer was so she could use it on her Stanford essay. to get accepted to Stanford because her grades were subpar, and then she eventually just drops that as a motivation. But I think we, could have just dropped all the National Merit Scholar stuff, aside from just that she was a National Merit Scholar, whatever, that she did do so well on the PSAT, etc., and that she's trying to think of something else she could do, but, her circumstances don't really allow for much. And then maybe she has the incident with the brewer, and then her life goes in that direction instead. I don't know. I don't think it really matters that much, but I just didn't think I needed as much Paul as there was. Although all the other people in that friend group do end up helping her out at the brewery eventually, so, maybe Paul did need to be there. I don't know. But I do think we could have tightened it. Yeah, she didn't really drop the motivation. She dropped Stanford. Exactly. Yes, that's true. She just realizes she doesn't have to go to Stanford to achieve what she wants to achieve, and that she was mainly going to Stanford for Paul. There had to be a Paul. That's true. There's always a Paul. All right. So what I'm going to do now is, but yeah, she, I found her relationship with Carissa more interesting, just generally speaking, than Paul. But anyway, these are small things. Overall, like I said, the book was enjoyable. Am I going to think about it for the rest of my life? Probably not. But also, I thank the book for entertaining me. I found it very entertaining. And also, I did learn about beer a lot. But yeah, Carissa was much more interesting to me. Much more interesting. I guess I don't have the book discussion thing up, but we're not really talking about spoilers. Like, none of this, well, aside from the Paul thing, I don't think any of this is going to really be a surprise if you're reading the book for the first time. Okay, so I made 9 of these. Let's see how many will fit on the page. I think I want to tighten them up so that they're closer to each other, because I think I want the tabs to look more tab-like. Which means I'm going to kind of have to stack them on top of each other a little bit. Judy, I think that's fair. Judy wants to remember through the book club discussion. And it's a little bit harder this year because you can work ahead this year. And some books you'll probably need to work ahead. Like, I know there's some longer books. Great Circle is long. I think The Night Watchman is long. Towards the end of the year, we have some longer ones that may take, more time to read. And you might need to start ahead. Okay, so I can use, if I'm staggering them, I can use all 9. The question is, does this look better or does this look better? If I don't stagger them, they'll look like this. And then just to give you a better idea, they are going to have on them, photo mats. So the tabs will look it'll look kind of like this. So you'll see I guess once the photo mats are on here, that helps the tabs pop. So maybe that's fine. All right. But I do agree with the person who said it's good for a book club discussion. I do think it is a good book for a book club discussion because it's about kind of a strange thing that you don't see a ton of in books, meaning the craft brew industry, or artisanal beer. And then, so yeah, I mean, there's definitely stuff that's kind of unique, even though ultimately a lot of the themes are the same as other books, but that's because it's about people and people are people, you know. That's your daily dose of wisdom for the day, is that people are people. All right, so I'm going to start with 6. So I'm going to and then if we have room for the last 3, we'll do the last 3. Okay, so the way that we're going to stick these all together is I'm going to take the 3/8 inch tape and stick it down to that flap that I made, that little flap that I made. And I'm going to put that on all 6 of these because I know I have room for 6. What I don't know is if I have room for 9. And I am going to stick these all to a scrap piece of cardstock because that way I can handle them as one piece, and that makes it a little bit easier for me. And then on the first page, we need some kind of 4x6 card or something like that. So I think I'll put a plain white photo mat, one that hasn't been stamped, and then we'll add a card to it. So let me go ahead and get a photo mat to stick down. We'll call this one number 1. All right. Now there was something I highlighted in the book, and it was relatively early on. Let me just see if I can find it in my Kindle edition, because I don't do a ton of highlighting and annotating in these books, but there were a couple things I did highlight. Oh, okay. Did I not highlight it? Pfft. I really thought I did. But I don't have a bookmark. I wonder if I accidentally deleted it at some point. Oh, notes and highlights. Oh, yeah. It was Diana talking to the brewer, where he's like asking why she's stealing and why she gets paid under the table at her job, and is it about gaming the system? And she says, Diana had always hated when people said this about her family. The bosses who made her dad list a payroll company as his employer, they gamed the system. The assholes who convinced her parents to take out a second mortgage and a home equity line of credit in 2006 gamed the system. The employers who would never give Edith enough hours for benefits gamed the system. But ask a lot of people and they tell you it's people like her grandma who game the system, tell you that it's an old woman who's worked hard every day of her life and still struggles to get by, who's a malignant vacuum for their personal tax dollars and a blight on their lives as free Americans. We're just trying to live. And he's like, so you have to steal to do that. And it's like, well, yeah. She's like, yeah, I do. I do actually have to. And then, and of course they're dealing with the aftermath. The book takes place over so many years that they are dealing with the aftermath of the 2008 housing crisis. And, the American Rescue Plan, the TARP, that bailed out the banks, not the homeowners. There's a saying that gain is privatized and loss is socialized in the stock market. And yeah, we all got hurt, like the whole country, the whole economy. We were all hurt by the speculation of the banks in the housing crisis. And we all paid the price, but they all got a massive bailout and homeowners didn't. So, and the biggest form of theft in the United States is payroll theft, is employers not paying their employees properly, either by accident or on purpose or whatever. But payroll theft is like far greater than any other kind of theft, So it's like the most common type of theft in the country. So, yes, the people who are the problem are the systemic abusers, the people who steal regularly from their employees' paychecks, or who do everything possible to prevent their employees from getting benefits, jobs with benefits, or whatever else. So, I did think that was clearly stated. Yeah, Mary said the bank bailout was the one time the left and the right agreed on something and it was being against it. Everyone knew that was unfair. That you were the one who gambled. You got to go down. That's how it works. If I gamble, if I go to Vegas and I lose all my money speculating on a craps table, Uncle Sam isn't going to come bail me out, So yeah, that was horrifying. That was so bad. That was so bad. So yeah, I mean, the author is definitely in that section is very explicit, for sure. Okay, so we've got being a family means you're part of something wonderful. And we do have that yellow that's going to pull that yellow. So I think we can just use this one. But before I commit to that, let me go to the camping one and see if I can squeeze one more out of the camping pack. Yeah, there's a lot of this summer type stuff, and I don't really know what my plan is for this book, so we'll go with being a family means you're part of something wonderful. And these are from Pebbles, these little stacks. Ooh, maybe there's one in here. If I can, because these are big enough that I can cut them down to 4x6 by cutting off their scallops. Yeah, these are all vertical, so that's not quite gonna work. All right, fine. All right, it's fine. It's fine. So anyway, he is more kind of explicit about that section as well. I think that paragraph was his in case you missed it. Because who's the villain in the family? The person with the big business, right? So I do think he is kind of trying to say something. And of course, not everyone who runs a brewery is evil, but Helen was. Helen was. So there you go. It was a little preachy, for sure. All right. I think this is going to be cute. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get, some of my scrap paper here that I have always got under my desk here. I'm going to get something like this, and I'm going to cut a piece that's 6 inches. I'm going to cut a 6-inch strip off the bottom, so it'll be 6 inches by 13 inches. All right. Okay, and so what I'm going to do, and the reason why I'm going to stick it, to this piece of paper is, again, so that I can kind of move all these pieces around as one piece. Okay. Carol Jones says I need to read the books closer to discussion time so I don't forget so much of them. I wait to start these books until 12 days before. That's the earliest, is 12 days. 12 days before the discussion is when I check the book out from the library, which, by the way, because the discussion got delayed this month, is why I now own The Lager Queen of Minnesota, because I couldn't get it from the library again, and so I had to buy it. So now I own the Kindle version of it, which, yay! So, all right, so we've got this. So now I need a middle one. And I'm gonna line the fold up with the bottom of the one above it, okay? All right, so that they look like this. If I ever need a refresher on beer, I am all set. That's true. That's true. And then I'll just stick these photos in as I go. And a waterfall like this is a great way to add a lot of photos to a page. So they're good for albums where you've really got a lot of photos to add. You can always add a waterfall and get a ton of room. Yeah, if I ever need a beer refresher, I know what to do. Maybe I'll do some beer reviews of some of the beer types of beer mentioned in the book. And we'll see if I ever find a beer I actually would drink. I just don't think I care that much, but we'll see. We'll see. All right, and so now we're going to go to the next page, and we're going to do the one that's on the right. So... and you can overlap these a little bit. If you're worried you don't want a gap, you can just overlap them a little bit. It doesn't have to be a perfect 1/2 inch. It does not matter. When we come back tonight, I'll look at some more of the discussion questions and see if anything jumps out at me. Because I think there is more to discuss with the book for sure. For sure. Because there was a lot going on. There was a lot. But I did like the Artemis Brewery Company. And it reminded me, there's a book that's really popular right now called Legends and Lattes. And it's about... it's the author who wrote it is billing it as high fantasy, low stakes. And essentially what it is it's a book that's set in your typical high fantasy world with like orcs and magic and stuff. But the main character is an orc who's tired of being a soldier, who's tired of being an orc mercenary fighter person, and is trying to open a coffee shop. But like no one's ever heard of coffee before. So she's trying to like open a coffee shop in a town where no one's ever heard of coffee before. And so people are like, so you want us to drink like hot bean juice? Like that kind of thing. And there's something about like just the Artemis section of the book that gave me the same feeling of, there could have been a book where the stakes were, and this would have been a completely different book, and I'm not saying this would have been a better book or the book we should have read or anything like that, but there's a place for a book in this world that is just the story of Artemis Brewery becoming the #1 craft brewery in America and winning all the championships and all of that. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Like that part I do think was so cute. So cute. I lost the... Oh. Never mind. I just was confused. So, all right, that's fine. But yeah, definitely the Artemis Brewery part was so adorable. So adorable. And I did like the hardened food critic talking about, just experimenting with weird beer and how not everything has to be like totally perfect all the time. And, there's room in this world for us all to just have fun sometimes, especially with art. And I do think that was like, that part was a little preachy as well, but also cute, also cute. So yeah, there were some kind of on the nose preachy moments, but for the most part, okay, so this is how it's going to look. We are going to be able to see the tabs because of the photo mats. But yeah, I definitely learned a lot about, oh, it's 4 o'clock. Why can I never end this on time to save my life? Whatever. We'll just keep going. No. Yeah. No, that does go there. Just kidding. I think we're only going to be able to do 6 based on how long this is getting. But we'll see. But yeah, last night I was Googling beer for people who don't like beer. I was like trying to find like lists of beers because I was like, I would drink Granny Ethel's strawberry rhubarb, whatever, that might be something I'd try. Does it taste like beer? I need to know how much it tastes like beer because I enjoy being here talking with you. Well, that's definitely part of it. That's definitely part of it. Hopefully you're all having a good time too. Okay, so this last piece will be just 4.5 by 6.5. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a quick 5 by 7 pinwheel. And then cut one of them down to 4.5 by 6.5. So Gretchen says, I've never tried flavored beer because I don't like beer, but I have tried flavored coffees because they sounded good. But in the end, they all taste like coffee, which I hate. Well, that's what I'm thinking, Gretchen, is that in the end, all beer is probably going to taste like beer. Because, like, for example, there is my favorite coffee, which is Ethiopian Harar coffee. It tastes fruity fruity to me. But to someone who didn't like coffee, I don't think it would taste fruity. I think it would taste like coffee. Like, and I recognize that it tastes like coffee. It just tastes to me like a fruity coffee. You know, it's got a more like berry sort of flavor going on with it than other coffees do. Does that mean that it tastes like blueberries, like eating a blueberry? No, it doesn't taste like eating a blueberry. It tastes like coffee. You know, so like if you already didn't like coffee, is Ethiopian Harar going to be the thing that like completely changes your mind? I don't think it is. Now, if you were like on the fence with coffee, if you could take coffee or leave coffee, you know, could it be like a gateway coffee to you? Maybe, you know, but I think if you just like didn't like it at all, is it going anywhere for you? No. Does that make sense? So I get it, Gretchen. I get it. So that's what I'm thinking is going to be the case with the beer, you know, that it's going to taste like beer. Is it going to taste more like lemonade than other beers taste if I get a lemonade shandy? Yeah. Is it going to taste like lemonade? No. You know, like I don't think it is. All right. So now I'm just going to trim this. And I just need to trim that excess paper from where it's peeking off the bottom here, because I never get this perfectly straight. All right. I don't know. Could we get 3 more? Oh, we totally can. All right. Well, then when we come back tonight, we'll do 3 more. We'll do 3 more. Okay. So we'll quickly add 3, and then we'll make this 9, and then that'll finish off this page, and we can move on to the next page. So we'll just finish that off really quickly. I'm going to pop downstairs now. So I will be back at 9 p.m. Eastern USA time tonight. That is roughly 5 hours from now. It's about 4 hours and 50 minutes from now that I'll be back. And we will quickly wrap up this waterfall page. And then we will, what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to use undo to remove this last photo mat so that everything will be dry and ready to use again by tonight. And then I'll look over the discussion questions. And maybe we'll continue on tonight. Okay? With some more book discussion if I see some that I think are kind of interesting and compelling. But overall, I enjoyed this book. I'm glad we read it. I hope you did as well. Thank you all so much for watching me. I hope to see you back here tonight at 9. Everyone who is overseas and headed to dinner or headed to bed, have a wonderful evening, wonderful weekend, and I'll see you next week. Everyone else, I'll see you back here tonight. Thanks so much for watching. Bye now.